Another beautiful day here today. It was raining yesterday, and today we have some clouds. The sun is out, but a great time for Bible study. I would like to go right back to Daniel chapter 6, but before I do that, I want to read a few verses out of Romans chapter 14. Paul writes there in verse 10, "You then, why do you judge your brother? Or why do you look down on your brother? For we will all stand before God's judgment seat. It is written, 'As surely as I live, says the Lord, every knee will bow before me, every tongue will confess to God.'" This is found in Isaiah chapter 45, verse 23. Then Paul says in verse 12, "So then, each of us will give an account of himself to God." Dear friends, very clear in this verse. We will one day stand before God and have to give an accountability to Him as to why we did the things that we did. And either good or bad, like it or not like it, it is before God that every knee will bow and every tongue confess. Now, there's a reason why I'm bringing this out. In Daniel chapter 6, these wise men were looking for some reason to discredit Daniel in the eyes of Darius, the king of the Medes and Persians. And the only way that they could do that wasn't because of any fault in his work ethics or in the morals of his life, but they could only fault him on the grounds of his commitment and faithfulness to the God of creation. Daniel prayed 3 times a day, as it was his custom, to God, and in such a way recognized that God was eternal, that God was his judge. Remember, his name means Daniel. Daniel means God is my judge. And by doing these things, he was giving acknowledgement to the God of creation. Of course, when these wise men, these administrators, got a law passed that people should only pray and worship to Darius, the king of the Medes and Persians, they knew that Daniel will falter here. And Daniel, quite correctly, according to his custom, goes to God. But I want you to remember that we ended off our last study by saying that they found Daniel praying and asking God for help. That we see in verse 11 of Daniel chapter 6. Now remember, I said to you last night that sometimes things happen for a reason, even terrible things like this. And instead of trying to call down judgment on those who are questioning and challenging us and causing us to stumble perhaps and fall, we are to stay faithful to God. And I want you to notice something here. As a result of Daniel's faithfulness, the relationship that was established between him and Darius was given greater strength. Let me explain. When the administrators saw that Daniel had been praying, they ran to the king and they asked him, "Did you not publish a decree that during the next 30 days anyone who prays to any god or man except to you, O king, would be thrown into the lion's den?" The king answered, the decree stands in accordance with the laws of the Medes and Persians, which cannot be annulled. Then they turned to him and they said to him, "Daniel, who is one of the exiles from Judea, pays no attention to you, O king, or to the decree you put in writing. He still prays 3 times a day." Now I want you to notice the following verse 14. When the king heard this, he was greatly distressed. He was determined to rescue Daniel and made every effort until sundown to save him. We see here that Darius had a deep, beautiful relationship with Daniel. He knew that Daniel was a man of integrity, a man whom he could trust. Because they saw, this is the administrators saw that King Darius was trying to see if he could free Daniel from this obligation, they went to him at sundown, and they said to him, "Remember, O king, that according to the law of the Medes and Persians, no decree or edict that the king issues can be changed." Now remember, I said to you, dear friends, in the end of time, we are going to find ourselves in the last days challenged to conform to the requirements of the world, and perhaps even with the threat of death if we don't. But there will be people, there will be administrators, kings in high places that will see our value. Then I want you to notice that King Darius knew that he was in a difficult position. And in verse 16 it says that he gave the order that Daniel be thrown into the lion's den. And the king said to Daniel, "May your God, whom you serve continually, rescue you." And I want you to notice the key word here, continually. It was something that Daniel just didn't do sporadically, but something that he did all the time. Dear friends, I want to encourage you to establish good habits, to rise up early in the morning, to spend time with God in prayer, like Daniel, to consider God throughout your day in prayer, to ask him for counsel. King Solomon says, "Consider the Lord in all your ways, and he will direct your paths." May you, like Daniel, rather be thrown to the lion's den, and may the God that you serve then save you. Have a good day today.